If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just
Let's go out.
Sit down! That's another 30 days. That's 60 days.
So what?
90 days.
So?
120 days.
Okay, and?
180 days.
This is Arthur Haig, a church pastor, and his estranged wife, Lillian, who are in the family court in Putnam County, West Virginia, for a divorce hearing. Judge William Watkins III, pictured here, is overseeing a divorce hearing. Haig has refused to sign a deed allowing the sale of their home. Proceedings start off with Judge Watkins warning Haig to behave.
Mr. Haig, if you say one word out of turn, you're going to jail. Do you understand me? Yes or no?
The judge is already angry with Haig because Haig disclosed personal information about him to the media.
This morning, I now see an article from your little buddy, Smith, with a picture of my home. My home.
Interestingly, Haig's name was not mentioned in the article. In fact, the article focused on Judge Watkins' involvement in a local homeowners association. Despite this, Judge Watkins continues his outrage.
On the front page. Shut up! Don't you speak! My wife is disabled. She's there alone. And you disgusting piece of...
He even threatened Haig.
You are responsible. I'm holding you personally responsible for anything that happens at my house. I promise you. But if I so much as see somebody breaking at my home, my wife, my family, you and me are going to have a problem. It is personal. You have threatened my family, and I promise you, you will not hear the end of it from me.
After Judge Watkins has given Haig a piece of his mind, he regains his composure and refocuses on the divorce case.
I'm sorry, Miss Wallace, Miss Haig. I'm sorry. I cannot tolerate that circumstance. Forgive me.
Eventually, Haig is ordered to sign the deed and pay a third party $500 to expedite the process.
Mr. Haig, pay him the sum of $500 for his services no later than Friday.
But Haig does not agree with the ruling.
I'll sign it. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have the money.
Despite Haig's protests, Judge Watkins rules in favor of Lillian Haig, ordering the pastor to cover several expenses once the house is sold. But that's not where the story ends. Haig, unsatisfied with what happened in court, later filed a complaint against Judge Watkins with the Judicial Investigation Commission. It was later revealed that Judge Watkins had a history of berating litigants and attorneys in his courtroom, leading to his censure for 24 violations by the West Virginia Court of Appeals. Ultimately, the judge was suspended without pay for the remaining 4 years of his term. However, this wasn't the only time a judge freaked out in court. Take, for example, the case of Judge John Murphy,
If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just
Let's
beat
go
your
out.
ass.
who's presiding over several cases in Moore Justice Center, Brevard County, Florida. Here is public defender Andrew Weinstock, who is representing his client in a case involving 2 charges of assault and resisting arrest. Just when you thought the judge couldn't sink any lower, his behavior in the courtroom will leave you stunned. The problem began when Judge Murphy requested that the defendant waive his right to a speedy trial due to a backlog in the court's schedule. Weinstock, however, was not willing to comply with the request.
Public defender, what do you want to do? Well, it's going to expire before I can get them in, so...
Not my emergency.
Question. You want to set it for
You
trial?
can set it for trial if you want to set it for trial instead. I'm not waiving. That's if the question is, am I waiving? The answer is, I'm not waiving.
Just say it.
Okay, I'm not waiving.
This infuriated Judge Murphy, who threatened him.
This is an
You know,
emergency
if I
created
had
by
a
the
rock,
state.
I would throw it at you right now.
You know, this is
Stop pissing me off. Just sit down. I'll take care of it. I don't need your help.
No,
Sit
you know
down.
what? I'm the public defender. I have a right to be here, and I have a right to stand
I
and
said
represent
sit
my
down.
clients.
However, the situation took a shocking turn when Weinstock accepted Judge Murphy's invitation for a physical altercation.
If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just beat
Let's go
your
out.
ass.
Shockingly, the 2 men left the court, and although the court cameras couldn't capture them, you could hear them going at it. When Judge Murphy returned to the courtroom, this is how people in the courtroom reacted. After catching his breath, Judge Murphy resumed the proceedings. But the story didn't end there. The Florida Judicial Qualifications Commission launched an investigation into the matter. Judge Murphy was charged with threatening to commit violence against an assistant public defender, engaging in a physical altercation with counsel, and continuing with the docket while defendants were left without legal representation. The case eventually reached the Florida Supreme Court, which took decisive action by ordering Judge Murphy's immediate suspension and permanent removal from his judicial position. Additionally, Andrew Weinstock later resigned from his position as a public defender. However, while public defender Weinstock and Judge Murphy's behavior was shocking, it's nothing compared to the utter mayhem caused by Judge Gary Bennett and Ebony Burks in court in Elyria, Ohio.
Get back! That's another 30 days. That's 60 days.
So what?
Ebony Burks is in court remotely for a bond hearing after she was charged with misdemeanor assault and domestic violence against her grandfather, Shedrick McRae, and his companion. As the hearing began, Judge Bennett explained the available pleas to Burks.
You have 3 pleas available to you today. Guilty, not guilty, and no contest. What plea would you enter?
Not guilty.
If you thought Ebony Burks would show remorse for her crimes, be prepared for their jaw-dropping conduct during the proceedings. The first part of the hearing proceeded without any major issues. The judge proceeded to set bond for the 2 charges, totaling $15,000, with the sole condition that Burks should have no contact with the victims, which included her grandfather McRae. However, things took an unexpected turn when the judge informed Burks that she couldn't return to her home if she shared it with McRae.
I'm telling you, you can't go home. If you live with Mr. McRae, you cannot return to that residence.
Burks wasn't pleased with the condition, and she let the judge know.
How you gonna tell me I can't go to my house?
I just did.
But the judge wasn't moved by her protestations, and Burks went out of control.
Get back! Get back!
You just said I got
Get back!
Despite multiple citations against her by the now angry Judge Bennett, Burke continued her tirade.
That's another 30 days. That's 60 days.
So what?
90 days.
So?
120 days.
Okay, and?
180 days.
Move!
Despite the escalating situation, Judge Bennett ultimately sentenced Burke to 300 days in jail for contempt of court. This was the longest sentence he had ever given for such an offense.
I ain't bad. They got commissary. I got money.
That's 200 days. You got anything else to say, Miss Burks? That's 300 days.
In the end, while her contempt sentences were substantial, Burks only served 88 days. Additionally, her assault and domestic violence charges were suspended, but she was required to participate in a substance abuse program. However, let's compare the jaw-dropping actions of Judge Bennett to the astonishing outburst of Judge John Wool, who was presiding over the case of a 16-year-old defendant who violated his probation in a juvenile court in Vancouver, Washington. The teenager is accompanied by his mother, but his attorney wasn't present. As if the violation was not outrageous enough, his action in court was even more dramatic. When asked about the attorney's whereabouts, the teen surprised everyone by expressing his desire to represent himself.
I would like to fight for myself and not have an attorney.
However, Judge Wool thinks otherwise.
That's not a smart play. That's like going out on the field with the New York Yankees and you've never even learned how to play baseball.
Despite the teen's insistence, the judge maintained that he should have an attorney to assist him in the proceedings. He clarified that a juvenile couldn't legally plead guilty without legal counsel present.
I'm not going to do that. You're going to have an attorney assist you in this matter. But I'm not going to let him fly solo and walk into a court of law and try to practice law.
The teen tried reasoning with the judge. The judge emphasized that his role was to protect the defendant's constitutional rights, even if the defendant didn't fully comprehend them.
We're sending it over to Tuesday.
The court clerk tried to signal the teen and his mom to be quiet as they began to speak, but the confrontation escalated. Judge Wool ultimately lost his temper and bluntly expressed that he was trying to help the defendant.
I'm doing my job, sir. My job requires that I protect your constitutional rights. You as an American citizen. That's my charge. And if you're too stupid to know that what I'm trying to do is protect you, then let me spell it out for you. I am trying to protect you, your rights, and your freedoms. So step one is I bring the case back with an attorney. and then we talk.
Moments later, the judge apologized, acknowledging that he rarely lost his temper.
My apologies to everyone in this courtroom. I very rarely lose my temper, but when I do, it's usually because someone is too stupid to recognize that I'm trying to help them.
But as you can see, his apology is backhanded. Also, his claim that he rarely loses his temper is not exactly true. Judge Wool had been cited for multiple incidents of discourteous and impatient behavior over a 2.5-year period. Eventually, Judge Wool's courtroom conduct led to a public reprimand by the Washington State Commission on Judicial Conduct. However, it's not the first time a judge has lost control in court, just like what happened in the notorious molestation case in Las Vegas, where District Judge Richard Scotti is presiding over the jury selection process. The defendant, Jose Azucena, was facing a trial for a series of heinous crimes, including child sexual assault, lewdness, and kidnapping. If convicted, Azucena would be sentenced to life imprisonment. The prosecution alleged that he had taken advantage of his position as a family friend to lure and exploit 5 young girls in his Las Vegas apartment complex between 2014 and 2016.
In one case, the report indicates a victim says he took her into his apartment where he tied her up and taped her mouth shut before sexually assaulting her.
Before the trial could commence, Judge Scotti had the crucial task of ensuring that the selected jury members would pledge to be fair and unbiased. However, a female member of the jury expressed concerns about her ability to remain impartial if chosen for the jury.
Okay, so can you be fair to both sides?
I think I would be biased.
This is how Judge Scotti responded to her concerns.
What we're not going to have in this jury is people coming in overnight and thinking of and trying to make up now so they can get out of the jury. What's going on here? Tell me what's going on.
I said I had other issues yesterday, and you said you'd get back to me.
All right, so why you got issues? Why can't you're saying that you can't be fair and impartial to both sides? You're going to completely throw out our entire justice system because you don't want to be fair and impartial.
Subsequently, he dismissed her from the jury.
Yeah, you're off this jury. You're off this jury.
Eventually, Jose Azucena was found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment. However, the behavior of Judge Scotti during the trial drew significant attention and criticism. As a result of the questionable conduct of Judge Scotti, Jose Azucena's conviction was later overturned. The Nevada Supreme Court panel reviewed the case and concluded that Judge Scotti's behavior had created an intimidating atmosphere that compromised the integrity of the jury panel. The outburst raised doubts about whether Scotti's actions had influenced the guilty verdicts delivered by the jury. While it was noted that no other jurors had shown bias or concerns about impartiality, the intimidating atmosphere created by Judge Scotti's actions was deemed unacceptable. Consequently, the court decided that a different judge should preside over Jose Azucena's new trial to ensure a fair and unbiased legal process. If you thought these reactions were shocking, you'd be amazed at this video of violent kids reacting to life sentences.